Hey everyone, this is Lisa from Life and Layout, and today I pulled out the sketches for 4x6 photos only. I'm going to be using sketch number 6. I also pulled out this really old collection from my mind's eye, and I'm going to do a little bit of stash diving as well as some hybrid scrapbooking. I've had this collection for a very long time, and I knew that I wanted to do a layout about my glasses because there is one single paper in here that has all types of glasses on it, as well as the pinks and teals are just a perfect nod to me. I love this color combination. On the right-hand side of the layout, it does call for a piece of paper that covers a majority of the layout, along with 3 photos. So I decided to use that glasses paper for the larger piece. It calls for a 1/4 inch stripe on either side of that paper, so I decided to use the teal tone-on-tone stripe paper for that 1/4 inch strip. Then for the left-hand side of the layout, it calls for a bunch of banner strips. I know that I have been doing a lot of layouts with banners lately, but it's just my jive right now, so I am going with it. I wanted to use different patterns for the strips, and I started out pretty strong. I did decide to repeat that arrow because when I cut it down, I was able to get different colors on it. So while it is the same pattern, the different colors feels like it makes it a different piece of paper. I did pull out this quotation paper to create a second one, as well as the diamond paper, but I actually decided that I didn't want to repeat the patterns. So I decided to pull out the papers that I have stored in what I consider my B-side areas. I have them all separated just like I do with my Doodlebug Petite prints with all of the colors together. It also allows me to keep the scraps together. In those papers, I was able to find a white paper that had gray hearts on it. And then I was also able to find this teal paper that has some stripes. And it may look familiar because I just recently posted a summer layout, and that paper is from Echo Park. So with those 2 additional pieces, I was able to not repeat any of the patterns. I did keep the strips at 12 inches, but once I cut the banners, I realized that they were still way too long. So I decided to cut them down to 10.5 inches, and then I'm going to add the banners on it. So it makes it probably closer to about 10 inches. I am using my Stampin' Up! Banner punch to create those banner notches. This particular punch allows you to use 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and 1/2 inch paper. Once I got all of the banners cut out, then I brought in these 2 photos that I'm going to use on the left-hand side of the layout. This particular layout is about my LASIK journey. I had LASIK eye surgery back in July of 2025, and I knew that this was a perfect collection for these photos. I have 2 photos of me standing outside of the office. I have one of me standing outside the door with the sign that says LASIK Plus, and then I have one of me standing like right inside the door with a picture of the doctor. I knew I wanted to trim down my photos just a little bit so that I could see more of that banner paper. Then I'm going to lay these strips down. I put very minimal adhesive on the backs of these because I knew that I was going to be stitching on them, and I didn't want to stitch through the adhesive. It just kind of makes the needle a little gummy and makes it a little difficult. For the right hand side of the layout, I have 2 photos that I used my Canva templates on. That allowed me to get a lot more photos than just the 2. And then I have the 1 photo that I took of myself in the car as we were leaving. The sketch does call for that particular photo to be matted. So I decided that I wanted to double mat it, and I tested out the pink background paper as well as the black, trying to decide which way I wanted it. I definitely wanted the pink paper against the photo because the black just seemed to make the photo too dark. So having the pink first and then the black as the second mat really helped that photo stand out, especially since I was wearing blue, so the pink really contrasted well. I also knew that I was probably going to need a little bit of the pink paper for something else, so I decided to just cut out another strip, put it over to the side, and I am going to use it later in the layout as well. Once I got my photos matted, then I'm going to get the right-hand side of the layout down. I added the 1/4 inch strip directly to the layout and then added that eyeglass paper right next to it, and then going to add the other edge of the and then going to add the other 1/4 inch strip on the right-hand side. Of course, I didn't get the paper down straight, so I did have to pull it up and add it back down to the layout, but I was feeling like it was getting a little lost. I tried out the other two photos and realized that the teal paper was getting a little lost next to the eyeglass paper. So I decided to cut a really thin black border. This is maybe an eighth of an inch, maybe even a 16th of an inch. It is super small. And I put that between the eyeglass paper and the teal stripe. And it just really helped the teal stripe paper set off from that really busy eyeglass paper. Then I added my photos back down and felt like the photos were still getting lost. So I decided to go ahead and mat all of my photos with the black cardstock, even the photos that are going to be on the left-hand side of the layout. For the left-hand side of the layout, I am going to mat these two photos on the black, but I'm going to cut them out as if they were one large photo. I am using my layering guides for this. I do have a tutorial for it and I will link it below. I love these things. I think it makes perfect layers every single time you create layers on your photos. Now I've got all of my photos matted with the black cardstock, and I remembered that I had one additional photo that I wanted to add to the layout. This is an additional photo that's not depicted on the sketch, but I had taken a photo of the medication that I had to take after my surgery. There were two different eye drops. One was an antibiotic and one was a like lubricant type eye drop because your eyes are really dry after the surgery. And then you also have supplements that you have to take for a couple of months after the surgery to actually help produce tears because dry eyes is something that is a side effect of the LASIK. So I took a picture of all of that to include in my layout as well. And then I'm going to add my stitching lines to the layout. I decided that I would stitch all of the paper and I really wanted to showcase those arrows, so I decided to stitch down the center of it. I did do my stitching offline and slowed the video down here so that you can see all of that amazing detail. I love the way that this stitching turned out, and I feel like I say that on all of my layouts, but it really is so awesome. I also decided to add a row of black stitching just to let it stand out a little bit more on the right-hand side of the layout. And now I'm going to go over to my computer because I have something special that I want to show you guys. I had purchased a collection from Etsy, and at first I thought I would use the entire collection as is, but the collection didn't match the paper that I wanted to use, and I found a way to change the colors in Canva. So I'm going to give you guys a small tutorial on that. What you'll need to do is open Canva. I am using the free version and I'm going to show you how to do this with the free version. You will not be able to use your print and cut features with this free version, but I will show you how to use the paid version if you do have that. And with that, you can use your print and cut features for that particular type of images. So once you get into Canva, you're going to go over to the left-hand side and you're going to select New Design by selecting the circle with the plus. I always go down to the bottom where it says custom size and select that option. And then I'm going to type in my custom size of 8.5 by 11. You always want to start out by making sure that your PXs are changed to inches. And then you can type in 8.5 by 11 and then select create new design. This is going to bring in a new design for you. It's going to give you the options to use some templates. We're going to bypass that and go over to the left-hand side where it says uploads and select the upload option. This is going to open the uploads option in Canva. From here, you're going to go up to the top where it says upload files and select that. You are then going to find the files on your computer. I have these files again that I have purchased from Etsy, and I'm going to open the elements and I'm going to select the elements that I want to change the color of. You can see that this collection is mainly blues, blacks, and reds. I want to change that blue to more of a teal color. So I'm going to go through and find the images that I'm going to use that have that blue on it. By holding the Alt key, I can multi-select. There are 4 images that I'm going to bring in that I need to change the color of. Once I select open, it will start to upload the files over on the left-hand side. I can then select the files and it will automatically put the file on my 8.5 by 11. I can move the files around so that they're not overlapping each other. I can also go in and make the images smaller or larger if I need to. I went ahead and added all 4 images to my canvas, then selected all 4 of them and made them smaller. Now I'm going to move them around so that I can work with each one of them. Now, what I want to do is change the color of these images to match my paper. So what I decided to do was take a photo of the paper that I am using from this collection. It's important that you take this photo in as much light as possible. I use my studio light. You can use outside natural light, but you want it to be as true to the correct color of the paper. Once you've taken that photo, you're going to upload that file as well. So you're going to do that same process of selecting upload files, finding the photo that you took on your computer and uploading it. It's going to bring in the paper that you took a photo of. For this particular one, I took a photo that had multicolor on it so that I could change my images around to different colors if I wanted. I'm going to make that image a little bit smaller, and then I'm going to zoom in on the page so that I can see the images really well. What you want to do is you want to make sure that the images that you're working with have these dots at the top. These are your color palettes. Not all images are going to have these color dots. Some of them may only have one, some may have multiples. But as long as you have at least one dot there, you can change the color of these images. There's no guarantee that the digital images that you purchase will have this. This is a feature that the creator has allowed to happen. If they do not want their images to change color, it is their right as their digital creators not to do that. So if you do purchase a digital collection and it doesn't have it, this is not something that you will be able to do. What you want to do is you want to select one of the circles that you want to change the color of. This is going to open the color options over on the left-hand side. At the top, you're going to select the little circle, and when you hover over it, it says add a new color. When you select that, you're going to see a color palette appear, but what we want to look for is the eyedropper in the bottom right. By clicking that, hovering over the picture of the paper, we can select the color that's in the picture. You'll notice that I have created a new color option over on the left-hand side. And you can see that the bottle of eye drops is now a different color than the 2020 circle. This particular one has 3 circles, and I was able to change it. When I select the tag that says LASIK surgery, that one only has 1, so it was super easy to change that. With the 2020 color, it has 3, but I didn't select the right circle. So you may need to go up and change the different circles that you're selecting and change it. Once I selected the correct circle, then I was able to easily change that 2020. And then the same thing for the color of the eye. I was able to change all 4 of them to be the same color and to match my pattern paper. Now you can go in and change it to be any color that you want by repeating that process of selecting the eyedropper and going back to your paper and changing it. And again, this might not work the way that you want it to for all of your images. For the 2020, I could not get that image to be pink. There was nothing that I could do to change it to be close to the pink that was on the paper. I don't know why. I'm not that much of an expert in regards to digital collections and Canva to figure it out. So it may be something where you have to select a color that does work as opposed to maybe selecting multiple colors. But I did want to show you that you can select multiple colors. From here, if you are working with the free version, you will need to resize these images the size that you want them on your layout. I made them as large as possible just so that you could see them a little bit better. But at this point, you are going to need to fussy cut these images. So you'll want to make sure that they are the size that you need for your layout. Once you have the images the size that you want them, you're going to go over to the right-hand side of the screen and select Share. Then you're going to select Download. From here, it will automatically select PNG, which is going to bring it over as a picture. You can leave it as a PNG, you can change it to a JPEG or a PDF. Because you do not have the paid version, you're using the free version, you cannot create a transparent background. The transparent background is what you need to be able to use in the Silhouette software. So that is why you will have to fussy cut it. So from here, you'll select that download button. It will download to your computer. You will then print it out and will need to fussy cut those images. I am now logged into my personal account, which is the paid version, and I'm going to show you how you can now bring these images into your Silhouette software. The same steps of selecting that share button as well as the download button. And when the download screen pops up, you'll want to select the transparent background. Because I have the paid version, I can select it now. I was not able to select it before. You want to make sure that your file type is PNG because that is what you'll need for the Silhouette software, and then you will select download. Once the image has downloaded to your computer, you can then open up the Silhouette software, and then from here, open the file. You can see that I have both the file that I would need to fussy cut as well as the one that I'm going to use for my images. I'm going to select the one that I'll need for mine. And when it comes into the Silhouette software, because it has a transparent background, all of my images are separate images. They come in really large, so you'll definitely want to size them down to whatever size that you need for your particular layout. I do recommend that you bring them in larger, that way that they are crisp photos as opposed to grainy ones. From here, you'll need to select the print and cut option and then enable your registration marks. And if you would like them to print just the way that they are, you're ready to print. But I like to have a white border on mine. So what you need to do is right click on the images and select released compound path. And now all of my images are individual images. From here, I'm going to go to the right hand side and select offset. The offset box will appear and I will select the offset option. I do have to select my images first and then select offset. I like to use 050 as my offset, but you can change your offset to whatever is your personal preference. You'll need to go over to the send option and you'll need to turn off the cut lines for the actual image. You don't want the image to cut out, you just want your offset. So I usually just click on the top image, go down to the bottom of the screen and select ignore selected lines. And then you see that it will only cut the outer edge with that white border. I'm going to do that for each one of these images. And I now no longer have a double line, I just have a single line. Going back to my design screen, I moved the eye drop bottle over to the gray area so that you can see what it looks like. With the white border, this is what will print out. It's going to cut around that white edge and have the image itself be on the inside. So now I'm ready to select the print option from here, print it out. For some reason, this print option always comes up for me. I just select cancel and it brings up my regular print screen. I then select preferences and I do have my preferences saved as Silhouette images. And that means that it's going to print on the media photo paper. The print quality will be high and I will select the OK button and then I can select the print option. I will then send it over to my printer and print it out. Now I'm back in my scrapbook room. I have added all the images that I want and I'm going to send it over to the Silhouette, and the Silhouette is now going to do all of the print and cut features for me. This tutorial was mainly for the changing of the colors. I do have lots of other Silhouette tutorials, so if you do need to see those tutorials, I will link my playlist below. I had a few images that I printed out that were just black and white that I did not need to change the colors of. So I printed those out as well, and now I'm ready to continue assembling my layout. I also decided to go ahead and print out my journaling that's going to be over on the far left-hand side. The sketch does call for two 4x6 photos as well as a 4x6 area for journaling. I didn't need that much space because I'm going to journal on the back, but I just wanted a little bit of journaling. So I did print that out and I'm going to mat it on the black cardstock as well to have it stand out a little bit against the busy pattern papers of those strips. So I'm going to use my layering guides again to cut out a perfect black layer around this journaling. And then I will be ready to get all of my photos as well as the journaling down on the layout. So as I'm getting all of the photos down, let me just read this journaling piece that I am adding to the layout. It says, on July 3rd, I had LASIK surgery after wearing glasses since I was in third grade. The procedure was quick, only about 15 minutes, and while there was some strange sensations, it was painless. By the time I stood, I could tell a difference. The recovery was easier than I expected, and within days, my eyesight felt completely transformed. See the back of the layout for the full story of my LASIK journey. I did decide to put my journaling up on some foam adhesive to offset it from the photos as well as my background paper. And then I'm going to add the embellishments that I cut out for this layout over on the right hand side. And you can see how these embellishments are perfect. And I think that doing hybrid scrapbooking has just opened the possibilities for so many things. This collection, like I said, has been in my room for years, but I didn't have any of the pieces to it. I think I picked it up secondhand, maybe at a scrapbook yard sale or somewhere like that. I definitely did not purchase it because had I purchased it, I would have purchased all of the pieces to it because there was a lot more of the eyeglass pieces that I could have purchased. But going down this hybrid journey that I've gone down this year and being able to use my print and cut features with my silhouette, I now have the perfect embellishments for this layout. And even if I did have the embellishments for this collection, I don't think it included these types of things. The things that you're going to see at the eye doctor, as well as that tag that says LASIK surgery. So I decided that I definitely needed some black tiny hearts on this layout. I'm going to add a bunch of them over on the left-hand side with those little banners. So I am going to stack them 3 high using Nicole's Dicker technique. However, this time I decided to just use all black cardstock. This gave them a different look and I am all about it. So I did decide to stack 3 black pieces of hearts together, and I used all 3 sizes of the hearts because I wasn't sure which ones I was going to want to use on my layout. This die still is available at scrapbook.com. I will link it below for you, as well as this pickup tool. I love this thing. One side has wax and the other side is like a pokey tool. I pick it up with the wax, I flip it over and use the pokey tool to move the images around until they fit perfectly on top of each other. So I've done one layer. I'm going to do my second layer now for these hearts, and then I'm going to start to add them to my layouts. I'm just using my tweezers to add them down. I added 2 hearts to some strands. Some strands I only added 1 heart. I did add the hearts directly to my threads, and I love the way that this layout came out. I think that these little tiny hearts add so much dimension to my banner strips, and I just feel like it is one of those really girly layouts that I don't get to play around with too much since I am usually scrapbooking, Eli, Disney stuff. I just don't always get to play around with some pinks, teals, and blacks, and I had a lot of fun with this layout. Once I got all the hearts down, I brought the right-hand side of the layout over so that I could see the entire layout. I did do a little bit of stash driving so that I could find additional pinks and blacks papers. You can see that I have this backing sheet that I just keep on my desk. I went through my color binders. I do have a tutorial for that as well. I'll link it below. But I basically just looked through my pinks, my blacks, and my blue color binders, just trying to find any types of additional embellishments that I can add. I found a best day ever circle. I was able to find another pair of eyeglasses that I could add to the left hand side of the layout. I found this little tag that is black and it has a pink heart on it. I also found a pink heart that had a black outline to it. And I think having the color binders really does allow me to bring in just those solid colors into my layouts and find the perfect pieces that fit all around the layout. I even pulled in some pink florals as well as some pink puffy hearts. This is my entire journaling. I decided that right after my surgery, when I could actually see, I wanted to make sure that I documented everything. In my journaling, I'm talking about my pre op as well as the surgery itself, the sensations I felt when I was under the lasers, how it felt the day after. I got it done on July 3rd, so it completely changed how we celebrated July 4th because I wasn't able to be outside. I had to wear sunglasses all the time. I was even wearing sunglasses inside the restaurant, which I felt a little silly about, but I knew that it was for the safety of my eyes. Now, let's get to my title because I struggled with this. I knew that I wanted my title to be I Can See Clearly Now. And I wanted the word clearly to stand out a little bit more than the rest of the title, but those letters were way too big and I just didn't have a nice space for it. I do end up adding my title to the far right-hand side, but not until I go through a ton of thickers. Eli actually came in my room as I was trying to find one, and he was like, well, why don't you just cut it out? I know that he's heard Nicole and I talk about it before. Stickers are definitely the way to go. I wasn't finding anything that I really liked because I wanted to mix and match the font. I did eventually find these black thickers that were a little bit smaller, but still like chunky so that it was able to stand out a little bit more than the other letters that I'm going to add to the title. For the word can and now, I did decide to use the tile stickers. I like using those tile stickers on those much smaller words. I did use the black tile stickers with the white letters for both of those words. And then I struggled quite a bit for the word see. I really wanted some pink or some teal because I was using a lot of black. I liked these teal letters here, but they were way too large. I liked the pink ones, but they were way too flat and they didn't look right against the eyeglass paper. I really liked these pink polka dotted ones, but they were way too busy. And I was also searching for the letter I because that's a difficult letter to use because I wanted it to have the lines at the top and bottom. I found these teal stickers that are flat and they were okay and they actually stay on the layout for quite a while because I was just going to go with it because I couldn't find anything else. I've pulled out a ton of white stickers trying to find something that works, but ultimately it came down to the fact that all of these eyes were just straight lines. They didn't have the top and bottom, and I really wanted that. I then found these glittery letters for the word C. So I did switch out the C, and you can see how much more clearly that teal sticker is over on the white than it was on the eyeglass paper. And I think that was what was kind of throwing me off. I cut out so much of me searching for letters. I was down to the letter I. That's all I needed. I looked through every piece of stickers, everything that I had, and ultimately, I decided I was just going to cut it out. So I decided that I would pull out my dies, and even my dies don't have the line on a lot of them. It's just a straight line for the eye. But I did find two that I liked, and so I decided I'd go ahead and cut out both of them to see which one I liked better. The one that I end up with is a little bit thinner, but I liked the definition of that top and bottom. So I decided to cut it out twice in the black, and then I cut it out once in that pink paper that I cut out from the background. When I laid them down, I did give it a little bit of a shadow. I didn't put it right on top of the black. So there is a little shadow just to the right of the letter I. And then once I get that down, my title is complete. And I do love the way that this came out. So my title finally reads, I Can See Clearly Now. All right, guys, that is it for this video. Here is my final layout as well as some close-ups. I hope you guys enjoyed this layout as well as the tutorial on how to change the color of your images in Canva. If you enjoyed this video, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already and you want to see more double page layout inspiration, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you have a scrappy day.